My name is Paul Baker. I'm a member of INTERVOICE, that's the World Hearing Voices movement, and I've just come from a conference that's been held here in Curitiba, which is the second Hearing Voices conference that's being held in Brazil. I have to say how impressed I am with how much this country understands the Hearing Voices approach. What is the Hearing Voices approach? Well, put simply, it's the idea that the Hearing Voices are in themselves a variation in being a human being. There is actually no problem with hearing voices in themselves. In fact, most people who hear voices are not overwhelmed or have difficulties with them. It's a smaller minority of people who find voices difficult. So we say it's not the voices that are the problem, it's maybe your relationship with the voices. Today we've been exploring that. We've been exploring people's stories, people who hear voices, telling us how they live with their voices, maybe sometimes the difficulties and problems they cause them. What I want to happen here is there are many, we think maybe hundreds of thousands of people in Brazil are hearing voices today, right now, and some of them are being overwhelmed by that experience. What we hope is we can find a better way than suppressing the voices with medication or being told that the voices are hallucinations and you shouldn't talk to them. We hope that there will be a way that people will understand that people who hear voices are human beings like everybody else. Like me, I'm left-handed. It's not an experience everybody has, and I have to adapt the way I live in the world, which is predominantly right-handed. And it's the same for voice hearers. Most people don't hear voices, but the people who do, they have many things to offer society. It's seen at the moment as a taboo, as a difficult thing that people should really try to get rid of in their lives. But actually voices aren't like that. They're very difficult to get rid of. Really, the better solution is to engage with them. And that's the lesson that we've really learned over 30 years of working with people who hear voices. If you can change the relationship you have with voices, you can learn to live with your voices. This means, ultimately, maybe you can reduce the medication if you're on medication, and maybe even come off the medication altogether. However, take your time. And for family members and for workers who live or work with people who hear voices, can we say this? There is great hope that people who are very, very distressed with their voices can find another way. Maybe it doesn't seem like that, but I can tell you, if you look at some of the websites and the information that you'll find on the internet about voices, you'll find many, many stories of people who've got their lives back, who've got their autonomy, who now live their life well with voices. Today we heard many stories from people around Brazil who told us how difficult they found their experience, but usually that's because nobody had ever given them the opportunity before to talk about their voices. So we think the first thing, let's begin to talk about voices, talk about what they mean to you, even tell us what kind of voices they are. This is very important. We want a much more open conversation about the voice experience, and I've noticed, and I am very impressed with what's happened here in Brazil. I think Brazil is a country which understands somewhere in its soul that voices are significant. And I think because of your religious and your spiritual perspectives, it isn't so difficult for you to understand that voices have a place in our hearts and a place in our society. I hope one day that I will come back to Brazil and we will find that mental health services have changed their position, that they don't immediately think that this is a symptom of a disease like so-called schizophrenia, but actually understand that if they actually help people to understand their voices and maybe ask different kinds of questions, not so much what's wrong with voices, but more what happened to you, what is going on for you, and what are these voices, what do they mean? We want to seek meaning in madness, not to try to get rid of it, because we think that is actually not something that is possible. If you look at the people in the services right now, can you honestly say that the people who hear voices are any better now than they were when they first arrived, maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago? Probably not. But we can show you people who've been in services for a long time, found out about the hearing voices approach, and now they live well with their voices and no longer involved in psychiatry. So this is the message of hope to everyone who has somebody in their life, or if you yourself hear voices, that there is many things you can do about this experience. We hope you will join us in this big enterprise in Brazil, and we hope one day that this will be one of the most vibrant hearing voices networks in the world, and that you will join the other 36 countries that are looking at this way of working, this way of thinking, this way of believing about what voices mean. So I'd leave you with this message. I hope, Brazil, that one day, soon, we will be able to say hearing voices is a normal, common human experience. And if you have difficulty with them, we can help you. Thank you very much.